Well, hello there. Thanks for clicking onto the UK and Europe video blog for today. We're now at the 2nd of December, and it's a time where I'm starting to get nervous because the real basically the proven time will come over the next couple of weeks as we start to see the month of December progress, and of course all eyes are certainly, if you're going by my forecast anyway, all eyes are basically on the period leading towards the 15th of December through Christmas and towards the New Year. That is when things are going to start to change, I believe, and I continue to be pretty confident that I think we are going to see that change. Now, we're starting to see the cold air starting to expand and build in intensity to the north. That's actually been shown quite well as the Atlantic systems push through, and on the backside we see that colder air getting entrained in on that northwesterly rear of each system that pushes to the northeast through Scotland. We're seeing, of course, persistently severe gales to the north, quite strong winds further south as well, bands of heavy rain, and everything. It's a very progressive pattern. That's what Atlantic-driven patterns tend to do. They're very progressive. They're in, they're out, and you're basically waiting for the next system to push through. This time of year, with that cold to the north, milder to the south, enhances the jet stream, really intensifies those upper level winds, and of course those upper level winds form areas of low pressure. So the Atlantic, very busy with active areas of low pressure attached to the jet stream. We are continuing to see these waves of Atlantic weather push in and then push out. The next one, perhaps 24 hours following one after the other. So we're going to see more wind, more rain pushing through as today progresses. We've seen a fairly chilly night indeed. Temperatures here at the house went down to -2.6, and with pretty persistent showers as well, and rain falling in basically a low-level air mass that's around freezing. I woke up this morning to see a layer of ice basically in the pavement, so it's quite a dangerous setup when you see this, where you've got that mix of maritime cold air and rain falling within it. It can be quite a messy situation and a dangerous one as well, so I certainly urge caution with that. Looking ahead over the next 24 to 36 hours, we're going to see a band of wind and rain push eastwards, and on the backside we'll see more a sunshine and shower type setup tomorrow over much of the UK, always more frequent further north, and we might actually see a band of fairly persistent and at times heavy rain pushing through the southern part of the UK, so through South Wales into southern England as well, perhaps progressing up towards the Midlands as well, and like I said, more showers, wintry in nature, further up in elevation as well, so perhaps 200 metres and above you might see some snowfall. Don't be surprised at that. And again, this pattern is Atlantic driven, so although we're seeing a much colder push of air, that's indicative of the change, the progression of the season from autumn into the winter time. And of course that's what I've been quite concerned about as well, as I think, and I do believe we'll continue over the next couple of weeks to see a progressive but a turbulent pattern as those air masses start to intensify over the north with the cold, the residual warmth that's wanting to continue to fight on. That, of course, sets the scene for a stormy pattern, and we're seeing that. We're continuing to see that across the UK, up and through Scandinavia as well. It's a pretty wild pattern up through Norway, Sweden, and into Finland as well. Central parts of Europe, high pressure, of course, remaining fairly dominant, but that stagnant, cool, very cloudy pattern is of course producing day after day of foggy conditions through Germany and Poland as well. But I'm really looking, folks, at this pattern and where I think it's going to go over the next couple of weeks. As the month progresses, we're going to continue to see Greenland filled with cold air, very, very cold air, and across the northern hemisphere as well, to the north of the UK and the majority of Europe. It's going to continue to intensify that cold. But as the progression continues to the pattern, I do start to think that we're going to see that blocking area of hyper, and this is key, folks, for my forecast to play out. we must start to see building of high pressure. That's a blocking area of high pressure over the North Atlantic and Greenland. Now, with Greenland filling up with very, very bitterly cold air, we're going to start to see that high pressure build over Greenland, replacing that cold air with a milder Atlantic air mass. Now, what that means is that all that brutally cold air has to go somewhere. It doesn't disappear. So that push of Atlantic air northwards through Greenland will then displace the cold over Greenland southwards. Now, where that trough sets up is where all that brutally cold air is going to spread out through the trough, and I do think the Scandinavia, down and through Denmark, the Low Countries, and eventually into the UK, will set the scene for a fiercely cold late December through the first 2 weeks of January period. I think what we're going to see is around the 15th through the 25th really. I think we're going to see a series of snowfalls as that cold air starts to drift southeast or southwestward, should I say, off Scandinavia. I do think we're going to see the collision and a fight between Atlantic mild air and cold continental air over the UK eventually. And through that period, mark that, 15th of December through towards Christmas, I don't think we're going to see severe cold, but what we'll see is an increase in winter snowfall and icy conditions as well. And as the pattern continues to go negative in the North Atlantic, the negative North Atlantic Oscillation, as well as the Arctic Oscillation. The Arctic Oscillation going negative means that dislodge of all the fiercely cold air that's been built up over the past few months is going to drift southwards. North America, the United States, Canada, going to start to really fill with cold air by mid to late December. We're seeing that next week out in the western United States and Canada. Going to see a very, very cold air mass start to drift southwards. That's the start of the pattern towards winter across the mid latitudes of the northern hemisphere. But watch for a thump of snowfall that's going to blanket the majority of the UK between the 15th and the 25th of December. Then the latter part of December, we're going to start to see Arctic high pressure drift southwestwards. And remember, of course, you've got a blanket of snow cover across the majority of the UK. We're looking at highs on the period between the 25th or the 30th. That 5-day period, we've got a bit of an error period, so to speak, right through the first 2 weeks of January. I do think we're going to struggle to see highs, towns and cities of -3 or 4, rural areas -6, and at night time we could be looking at temperatures in towns and cities in the -14, -15 range, out with -16 to -21 Celsius. Very, very cold, I think, at the latter part of December. But like I say, we must see that North Atlantic Oscillation go negative and continuing to go negative as we approach the late part of the year. So continue to stay tuned. I'm continuing to hold confidence that this pattern will start to change. It is working out exactly the way I thought it would. And I also suggested as well that we would be led into believing, with no snow around the first few days of December, that we would be led into a false sense of security that winter might not shape up the way it did last year or the year before. Remember, the snows didn't arrive in 09-10 until the latter part of December, and we've still got a good bit to go yet. So just hold on and continue to stay tuned to the ideas I've got for you. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.